Welcome into another edition of the Q&A Questions in Alcohol, where we talk all things related to the alcohol world, whether it's the drinks, the food, the art here in Kentucky and beyond. And we're staying in Kentucky, and we're kind of going on, I guess, the art creator side, although it does tie back into the drinks with what they do. We'll be talking here with Thomas Woodworking's Josh and Tara Joe here in just a second. You can see them if you're watching, but don't forget to check out past episodes of the podcast on your favorite podcast player now, or even YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. You can find us at Hop Spirits, all one word, on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and at hopspirits.com as well. So you can catch up on all of our past episodes and all of our other fun videos. Like I said, we're here talking with Josh and Tara Joe Thomas, co-owners of Thomas Woodworking. And guys, welcome in.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Nice to meet you. Yep.
Well, I appreciate it. And I always like to start these things off with just a pretty simple question. And that is, tell us a little bit about yourselves, and not exactly how you got into all this, but just a little bit about yourselves and so if people get to know you.
Yeah, we're married and have a couple of kids, and both born and raised in Kentucky, and love the Bluegrass State. And we're repping Louisville right now because the women's play in the Final Four tonight. So it's just trying to grasp any basketball we can get. We're real proud of those girls. So absolutely. I'm from Louisville. He is right outside Bullitt County there, Mount Washington area. So yeah, we're married, have a couple kids, have a couple dogs, just normal people. Doing our thing.
Well, I love what you guys do. And I was going to say, have you both always been creative? Because, I mean, this, what you guys do with the woodworking is a lot of creativity, whether it's the designs on them and then even just the making of them. I mean, have you guys always had that creativity, or does that come later on in life?
Not so much for me. I mean, she could take a marker and like take a poster board and turn it into a piece of art. Me, I'm not very creative, but when I got off active duty, I was just tinkering around in my dad's wood shop, and we were just like, hey, this is a cool hobby. You know what I mean? Let's start doing a few things. And, of course, bourbon barrels come into mind because we're in Kentucky. And we just started coming up with ideas. I mean, the market's pretty flooded, so we try to be unique with some of the stuff we do. Her and I both say, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And we started making stuff, and we're doing pretty well, really. It's still a part-time, full-time gig for us. So,
Well, I went to Seneca High School in Louisville, so it's a performing arts high school. So creativity-wise, yeah, I mean, growing up, I've always been more of a, hey, I'll just jump in the middle and I'll go first kind of person. So creative, yes. Artsy, yes. Ironically, though, he's the one that created the product that is the biggest seller for us, which is the jewelry. So he just created these simple studs out of a bourbon barrel head and in the laser machine, and said, here, we could make some earrings out of this. So he creatively it's a hard word to say. I haven't been drinking, I swear, but he's the one that did come up with it. So
I was going to say, I mean, when did you guys decide to actually turn maybe a fun little hobby into something, like you said, part-time, full-time? Because I know doing even the podcast, it sure kind of ends up being full-time at times. But when did you guys decide to go, all right, let's see what we can do?
I mean,
COVID.
Yeah, probably COVID. I would say when COVID hit, because I was still doing stuff over at my dad's house, like making bigger items and stuff. And then COVID hit, and she was like, I
made an e-commerce shop off of Etsy.
Like, I'm going to tackle this Etsy stuff and social media stuff. And
it took off.
In this world today, if you can get yourself on social media and start putting out some content, it's super helpful. And that's kind of when she took over. She does, she does, I mean, every bit of 60 to 70% of the work. I just do the man stuff out in the garage in the wood shop now. So,
well, of course, COVID hit, and I just kind of sat around with the kids, and, we would play like Pokemon Go. We'd keep our hands busy. Our kids are younger, and walking the dog. And I'm like, I want to do something where I can like do something like adult business wise. And I researched, and Etsy was a perfect market for what we sell, because what we sell isn't too expensive. and the turnaround time with the jewelry gifts. People love the novelty of it literally being from a reclaimed Kentucky bourbon barrel. I mean, we get orders from all over the United States, and we attach little gift cards, and they look like this. And it's just the novelty of it. And people will ask for us to write like a note on the back, and I mean, all the time people go, "These are from bourbon barrels. How cool." And it is cool. We take advantage of it because we're from the state, but it is really a cool novelty idea. And in 2020, it just took off for us. So we're grateful.
Nothing wrong with that at all. And like you said, so Josh was the creative mind behind at least starting the jewelry. I mean, is that kind of how things work? Is just a little bit of chatting back and forth, like, hey, what can we make? What can we put on it? How does that work for you all? And who is it? Each person kind of have their own little, role or area that is their expertise?
I mean, it's 100% combined, sir. I mean, we randomly think of something, see something, we're like, we can do that. You know what I mean? We add your own twist to it. Cause like I said, a lot of stuff it's hard to come up with something brand new. You know what I mean? And we've got a bunch of good buddies in Kentucky that do similar things. So we always try to add new twist, and you see something, and I mean, she's the ringleader though. Like,
well, you want to follow trends too.
Yeah, like,
so
holidays, when something comes up, you snag a Google trend. I don't know.
So right now I'm actually working on something today where they're going to be dangle earrings, and they're going to be bourbon bunnies. So it's in the shape of a bunny for Easter. But you always follow the holidays and the trends, and I look for hashtags, and I'll listen to other podcasts. Like there's an Etsy success podcast, and they talk about trends. And I would never in a million years to think to make like a mushroom earring, but like mushrooms are hot for the spring. And I'm like, I would have never known that. But we have over 100 designs in the shop, and we only continue to grow. Like this is, my friend is getting ready to graduate from dental hygiene school. So I made her bourbon barrel teeth earring, which I know people were like, what? But for her, she's going to love it. So it's custom, So yeah, like he said, it's a mixture of, sitting around thinking, oh yeah, we could totally do that. You look at trends, and then also we take custom orders too. So.
Well, that is awesome. And that's kind of what it all comes down to, is having fun, and you never know what someone's going to want. And with that, I'm always curious, is there one that stands out to you, whether it was your most favorite, most unique, for each of you that you guys have done so far?
What's your favorite piece? Now, this isn't the jewelry side.
I mean, the cigar trays are awesome. You know what I mean? That's by far. I've made a couple like army plaques for PCS, ETS, retirement, stuff like that have been pretty cool. You don't see those a lot because there's a lot more work that goes into them. And
I guess we should mention that you're in the Army. We didn't really do that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he's in the Army. In the Army full time. We didn't really say that in the introduction, did we?
But pricing is hard on those. You know what I mean? It's
not everybody can afford those types of things.
And they're just they're a lot more work because I'm full-time Army still, so I can't. I was off today, so I've already been out in the wood shop this morning. So I take advantage of my off days, which is the weekends mostly. So we are trying to stick to jewelry type items, keychains, and then a couple of staple items like coasters, cigar trays. And then we got a lot of scrap pieces we like to do random stuff on too. But the cigar trays for me, I think that's the coolest thing we make. I don't know what yours is.
That's a hard question because, what's funny is I will make all of the jewelry because it's smaller items. It's something that I can actually do. I work on the machine. I'll do the design and stuff. So I can't really pick a favorite because there's too many, but he makes, like he said, the military awards, he makes these guide-ons out of bourbon barrel heads.
Oh yeah. Guide-ons.
And the guide-ons are just really cool and unique. And there's nothing else like it that we have seen. And again, he created that idea. And I mean, a lot of people in the military, they enjoy bourbon, and maybe a little too much before you got to get up the next day and do PT. But I mean, I would say the guide-on. It's too hard to pick on the jewelry side. My favorite for sure.
I mean, is there ever a time when someone goes, "Can you make this?" and you're like, "I don't know." Is that like? I mean, do you ever have those moments or something where you're like, "Never would have thought of that." Like, I mean, like the teeth or even the mushroom. I mean, that you've had to come up with a crazy design.
Really, even the cigar tray.
Yeah, that was
one of
a friend of mine.
Teresa's friends
Yeah.
was like, "Can you do some form of a cigar tray?" So I
Her-
was like,
Her husband played hockey for the University of
"Let me
Kentucky
see if we can
in
come up with
college,
something," you know.
and he smoked cigars. And she's like, "Could you slap like something to for his alumni?" And he likes to smoke cigars. So then he got on the router and created, and it's out of bourbon barrel heads. A lot of people think it's from the staves, but with the staves being bent on the sides, you can make cigar trays. They would just be smaller, but the barrel heads, it's a big piece. It's a manly piece, and it's a dirty job too. But yeah, he created it, and I was like, this is really cool, and they sell really well for wedding gifts, Father's Day, Christmas. Yeah.
And we have turned down stuff. There's some stuff.
We turn down stuff all the time.
We're just like, I can't, like, if I was doing it full time, I would love to try to tackle some new stuff. But if it's anything that I think is going to take me, like weeks to do, or I can't keep up with other orders, I got to just be like, I'm sorry, we can't.
Yeah.
But
well, and there's nothing wrong with that. There are times where, like you said, it's still a part-time side gig, so to speak. And what is it like working with bourbon barrels? Because I mean, do you use all of the barrel in this process?
So I think it's
what's it like working with bourbon barrels, Josh?
Well, it's definitely dirty.
It's disgusting.
I mean, but it smells good sometimes. It's rustic, right? So it's when you're making stuff out of that, the customer has to want something rustic. It's not going to be perfectly straight, squared, proportional. I enjoy it. I think it's super cool, but it's not the easiest stuff to work with. That's for sure.
If you have never cracked open an empty bourbon barrel, like hot off the block,
that's fun. That's the fun part of it.
Go for it.
Yeah.
And some people are like, "Oh yeah, what's left in there? You should drink it." And I'm like, no. You
might want to filter that about 15 times.
Oh gosh.
Slap some water in it, But hey, some people might like it. I don't know.
I mean, it's really cool to know. Like, I would love to know the story of like where all have you been? Like where have you been chilling? What distillery? We know what distiller, but where? It's neat. It's really something.
I was gonna say, I mean, especially now with kind of how crazy the market has gotten with used bourbon barrels, is it harder for you guys to find things than before? I mean, how does that go? Because I'm sure now all the finishing things of other drinks and bourbon barrels, beer, everything now goes in a barrel, it seems. Mm-hmm. So I mean, like, is it harder for you guys to actually find them?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, shout out to Bourbon Barrel guys.
They're in Bardstown.
Down in Bardstown. That's where we used to go and just get pallets of bourbon barrel heads and whatever. And you could always get a full bourbon barrel if you needed it.
And we have a friend. His name is John, and he works in Louisville. His company's Drunkwood, which is hilarious. And he works with bourbon barrels. He works with other woods too. Yeah. But he's one of the original people that really was getting into that type of stuff. And we know he's a friend of ours. He told us he used to be able to get them, $5 a head, right? And as of right now, from what we see, it's $15 to $18 a head. The inflation costs are tough. The market is flooded. But again, going back to like the smaller novelty gifts, we're able to really stretch that.
It's easier for us,
right?
What we make, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, while it's a little more time consuming because you're not making as much money because you're not selling like larger items, like the furniture. We have a liquor cabinet in the background that he made out of the bourbon barrels. Of course, those are pretty popular. But we stopped doing that because there's so many other people doing it, and it wasn't worth his time. So, shout out to all the creators out there that. I mean, there's some really cool, unique stuff that people come up with these bourbon barrels. But yeah, people come from out of state too, by the way, to just buy them and take them back and craft with them. It's a shark hunt out there.
I was gonna say, do you just ever go outside of one, just knock on the door? Hey, can I get that?
Yeah.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it? You know, you would think you'd be able to do that. You'd think they'd have like a stock, but no, it's always pushed down to
right now. We're up in
I guess, I don't know.
We're up in northern Kentucky now, so we're near Boone, the Boone County. I don't know if I'm sure you've had their bourbon, right?
Yeah.
I figured with what you do, you had all of them. You know, I pulled up there to buy one of their military bottles that they had for Veterans Day. And that place is so small, but super cool and unique. But I'm like you. I'm like, hey, y'all got some extra wood in the back there? I ask them. I'm too scared to ask.
Well, it is crazy though to hear that, because talking to folks, you know, like that started, some of the beer guys that aged stuff and used bourbon barrels, like when they first asked, they were just sitting out back of these places, and they didn't know what to do with them. And now, like you said, it's hard to find them on the market, and it's just crazy how time has changed and things have changed. I'm curious, you mentioned you went and got a bottle. I mean, are you guys bourbon drinkers or enjoy some type of alcoholic drink, I guess?
I'm sober. I've never had alcohol in my life.
So I was probably strictly bourbon from the age of probably 19 to about 32 probably. That's all I drank.
Ask him what kind of bourbon he drank, mainly.
Well, I used to always be Jim Beam. I'm not gonna. And then they I'm not gonna say they sold out, but they kind of sold out a little bit. So I kind of moved on from that. But I still try to snag some of that Basil Hayden. That's my favorite. So, but I've kind of, and I was always a mixer and this and that. I got a little older, and now, I've got thousands of dollars worth of bourbon sitting around. Like, I probably drink, I don't know. At least every other day I'll have a couple pours, you know what I mean? And I just, I branch it out.
Sipping type of thing.
I don't drink bourbon like I used to. Mm-hmm. I drink bourbon dip now, you know what I mean? I'm a little older. But
unless his army buddies call him on FaceTime and then they start taking shots of like E.H. Taylor, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, so I got some buddies. They'll always, if they snag a bottle or something, they'll call me. They'll hit that FaceTime, and there'll be like 3 of us on there, and I'm like, all right, well, I guess we're drinking something tonight, So I'll snag a bottle out of the cabinet. But outside of that, sipping wise, I'm just an old Coors Light guy, and we do drink a lot of vodka. So,
I'm not supposed to say
I know you can't say that.
It's okay. Never. I won't tell.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely. We've got all. I collect a lot of bottles. I know people don't like to hear that. You know what I mean? They're like, why would you spend all that money to collect a bottle?
Yeah.
Well, the world ends. It's a really expensive Molotov cocktail. Or we'll just drink it. But I got some I collect, some I drink. But we definitely drank some bourbon. Just not as much as I used to, if that makes sense. So
ain't nothing wrong with that. Everyone, we get a little wiser. I like I like to say, and it's a little harder to wake up in the morning, I've learned. Now, do you guys do anything else? Do you have any other fun hobbies besides the woodworking and things like that? Anything you do in your other spare time that you might have?
Yeah, so I don't know if I just got, so my buddy, he's another sergeant first class. So we got a PS5, right? So I haven't been a Fortnite fan my entire life. And he got me going on that. So now I am playing a little Fortnite. Well,
you play with our son too.
Yeah, my son Jackson, he kept begging me to play. So
we're old now, we're parents. You gotta incorporate hobbies and family time. I don't know.
I'm absolutely horrible. But my son enjoys playing with me, and my army buddy, we get on there, and really we just kind of shoot the shit.
More.
We shoot the shit a little bit and talk, and it's we enjoy it. We don't very, very rarely do we win. I don't know if you're familiar with Fortnite or not, but
I have not actually played. It's been a while since I played a video game, just because I having a kid myself, and I have no extra time to do anything. And at the end of the night, I'm just like, bed.
The army thing too. I think even older army guys.
It's like the new Call of Duty.
We always, we always played video games because that was our downtime, So we kind of continue to do it throughout the years.
Drink and play video games. It hasn't changed much.
Yeah, I got old Master Sergeant that retired. That's our Nelson.
Oh my gosh, he's so funny.
I mean, he's got to be 52, and he's always messaging me. You want to play FIFA on PS5 or what? You gonna get on? I'm like, how are you still playing video games? Yeah, I mean, I do a little bit of that, and I just like to hang out with the kids, you know.
Yeah.
She's got some hobbies. I'm sure she.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Peloton.
There it is. Yeah.
I'm a big Peloton junkie.
And nothing wrong with that. And I'm guessing you enjoy running too. I saw the marathon earrings as well, the half and the
full. Yeah, I've been running since 2005, but my knees are starting to, it's like, hey, we need to switch, do something. So, but I am actually this weekend's run the Bluegrass in Lexington, that half marathon.
Mm-hmm.
Basically 33 hill repeats. But it's beautiful out there because it's all the horse farms, they have all those horses out and they're running around. It's beautiful out there. That's bourbon country right there.
Sure is.
And then we're leading up to the Kentucky Derby, and I'm a giant fan of the Kentucky Derby Festival, and they have their marathon and mini marathon there, and it takes you through historic Louisville. You get to pass all the distilleries, so we can always bring in the bourbon. If you're in the state of Kentucky, there's always a way to inch in the bourbon with your talk. So yes, I love to run. Yeah.
I love that. And then obviously, Josh, your day job is in the Army, and Tara Jo, do you have a day job as well, or you guys just any that you want to say?
Thomas Woodworking.
Yeah.
One of the first things I do when I wake up is check all the messages, and then I'm always working on the back end. I don't think people realize how much work. Well, I can't speak for people, but I didn't realize how much work it would take. You've got to constantly be adapting, changing, checking messages, taxes, and
yeah,
it's a constant. I'm like a manager for Thomas Woodworking. I want to go back to work. I've talked about it, but honestly, if I do, the business will suffer if I do. So I'm lucky to have this guy's my boss right here.
I don't know about that.
Teamwork. And then, but Josh, you mentioned being in the Army. What's that been like for you?
That's a loaded question.
That you can answer briefly.
Yeah, so I could talk all day long about that. It'd be on another podcast. I don't know any different. You know what I mean? I joined when I was 19. I've been doing it pretty much ever since. I had a little break after my first 3 years in. I joined the Guard, then I went back active duty. And then I got off active duty again, and now I'm full time with the Guard, which is a blessing.
We stay in Kentucky.
Yeah, so it's still full time, still active duty, but I'm with the National Guard now. Tough job, but it's been a blessing. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't change anything. I could tell many stories of all kinds of stuff over the past 15, 18 years, but it was a blessing for me, and it provides for us and allows us to do this Thomas Woodworking side gig that's, hopefully one day when I do retire, maybe we can turn it into a full-time gig and actually support the family. That's probably tough with just doing, woodwork, but if nothing else, it keeps my hands busy, and and I enjoy it. So I always say so I'm probably going to be in the Army past 20 years just because, but the day you wake up and you don't enjoy what you do, you find you do something else. So currently I enjoy what I do on my civilian or in the Army, and I enjoy doing this, even though, it takes away my weekends and whatnot, but right now I enjoy it. So we'll see what happens in the future as I get older and get a little more tired. But right now we're just blessed. That's all I can say.
So that is awesome, and it keeps you out of trouble. I'm sure. And then for folks that want to find out about your products, how can they do that? And then obviously I know you kind of touched on this too. You guys do custom orders. How do they ask about those as well?
Yeah, I mean, the best way is to reach out directly in a direct message. We're on Instagram at Thomas Woodworking KY, on Facebook at Thomas Woodworking KY. Same for TikTok, which we need to get better about that. I try to be funny, but man, it's hard. It's hard. We're on Pinterest too, because when you're into crafting type of work, it's just really good to kind of hit all of those social media marks. But the best way, direct message us on social media or email us, thomaswoodworkingky@gmail. Yeah, we're on Etsy.
Mhm.
Oh, I guess I should say that because that's like the main TWWKY on Etsy.
Yeah, it's a little different.
It's a little different. We wanted to condense it down. But if you go into the Etsy, etsy.com and search TWWKY, and there's our page. And first thing you see, bourbon barrels in the back of my F-150. There it is.
Well, like I said, I've gotten to check it out. A lot of great stuff there. And then I guess my final question is what can anything new coming in 2022? Any fun things you guys are doing, or just having a lot more fun and getting dirty with bourbon barrels?
So honestly, we're going to branch out with some different woods too. Just because, but always coming up with new designs for the jewelry market. And we do cufflinks for the guys. Tie clips was a newer idea for the Derby coming up. I'm all about syncing that bourbon in with the Derby. Of course, it goes hand in hand. But throughout the year, I mean, we'll constantly be rolling out new designs. I do have some, I don't want to say it yet though, but I'm working on something for the girls, accessory for the girls. So we'll see. He doesn't even know yet. He doesn't even know yet.
I like a good tease. I like a good tease. You need to check them out on social media and on Etsy as well. Josh, Tara Jo, this has been a blast, and I appreciate y'all taking a little time to share your story and kind of the fun things you get to do.
Well, thank you for having us. This was really cool. I want to ask you a question if you don't mind.
Oh, yes.
What's your favorite bourbon?
Oh, there we go.
Oh, okay. So if it's just one that I can get every day, if I can get it every day, I'm gonna say right at this second, Chattanooga whiskey out of Tennessee.
Oh boy.
I think the Bourbon Jeeps just snagged that a while back.
Did they really? Yeah.
I think they like that. Yeah.
I wonder if you can get it up here and try it.
Yeah, it's up here now. It's in Kentucky. They are in Kentucky. I love that. Honestly, I kind of prefer some of the smaller brands nowadays. I mean, Dickel's probably one of my favorite big boys, just because they do such a good job with. You're never going to find a 15-year-old whiskey for $50 anywhere else, or $60.
Yeah.
It's like they're going to mark it up. Yeah.
So, it's been interesting because getting to try a lot of different things. I have been very surprised and pleasantly surprised. And Chattanooga was one that just blew me away. And I've always had to have it. That's one of the only ones that I go out constantly to get to replenish.
Chattanooga whiskey.
Yeah, I always have like an Eagle Rare or Basil Hayden 10-year. I think it is. Like that's my two go-tos really. But
yeah, you do like the ER.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with those. I love those, but when I'm just the one that I know I can go get right now is that. And another good one that I've really enjoyed is Breckenridge.
Okay. We'll have to
out of Colorado, and their rum cask finish.
I snagged one of those and I haven't tried it yet. It's just sitting there. So that's on my list. Things to pop. I got quite a few of them.
Hey, it's a good problem to have. It's a very good problem to have. And like I said, I appreciate y'all coming on here, and we might have to do this again down the road.
All right. Thank you, sir. Yep.